So that game against Doncaster Rovers wasn't sort of swashbuckling entertainment. It was more enjoyable relief. A bit like a poo in many respects. But it's one that needed to be done. One that needed to be had. A terrible analogy. I won't persist with this particular analogy. But I am relieved. I am. I do feel that a weight has been lifted. Now the excitement begins, I feel. By the time you watch this, particularly if you're watching it later on Sunday, I'm recording it Saturday night, you may well know the result of the Manchester United and Liverpool game. But I don't care. I don't care. I think they both have their merits. I think they both have reasons for being excited. And it is a cup tie. Somebody said to me just yesterday he's struggling to get excited for the FA Cup. Well, okay, that's fine. This is one that I certainly can get excited about. Liverpool, well, they're not in the best of places at the moment. Jurgen Klopp is not a happy man. If you've heard him in interviews, fisticuffs down a tunnel and stuff like that. Not quite fisticuffs, of course. But he's not happy. He's going to be desperate, absolutely desperate to either claw something back in the league and get back to it. And they're not cut adrift by any stretch of the imagination. A couple of wins, they're back up there. Or he'll also be looking to try and do something in Europe. Both of them are going to take huge precedence over progressing in the FA Cup. The only thing I do wonder about the Liverpool-Manchester United one is how much are they going to want to puff their chests out because they're championship rivals? How much are Manchester United going to want to show Liverpool that actually it's significant in terms of their title race? The result in the FA Cup means something more than actually just progressing the FA Cup. I think that may well be true for Liverpool as well. In terms of Manchester United, I've already said it last couple of days, there is no way that they expected to be in a title race. But a title race is exactly what they're in. Once again, it's another reason not to fully take the cup seriously. I don't mind. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good one. I think we'll be up for it. Now, there were two things. I don't like a message that selecting a weakened team sends to the squad. I think it sends the squad out saying we're not taking this seriously. We've fallen foul on it on many, many occasions. I think certainly, I'll give the examples of Oxford and I gave the examples of Wimbledon. We looked like we turned up expecting to win just with our skill. We weren't battling, we weren't fighting. This was different. Even though Moyes selected a worse team than he will do next weekend, and against Crystal Palace, and indeed in the previous game, you felt that they were all up for it. We were better. We were better than Doncaster, but we outworked them. We were fitter. We were stronger. We were running. We were tackling. We were getting back. We made it absolutely difficult and, dare I say, impossible for them. Somebody said to me in the comments, because I made the comment, I said, you don't take this seriously. You go out the cup. Someone said to me, but there should be an inquiry. If this team is more than good enough to beat Doncaster Rovers, if they don't, there should be an inquiry. It means they're lazy and they haven't tried. And I would agree with that. But they weren't lazy. They did try. And we looked a good team. It's thrown up a few things that I want to discuss. I want to discuss the youngsters in just a second because I didn't know an awful lot about... I've written his name down. And it's Afolayan. I didn't know him. I've got to be honest with you. Didn't know him at all. So I went and watched the game. He'd played in a game either the night before or just the night before that. He'd just played for the under-23s. Played against Tottenham. And West Ham were the better team. So I went back and watched the game because I am a bit of a saddo like that. And I was not surprised that he got picked out. Because he looked to be West Ham's best player from what I saw. I didn't see the whole game. I saw highlights. But from what I saw, he was our best player. What was really interesting, though, is he played as a number 10. I mean, well, literally, he had number 10 on his shirt. But he played as a number 10. He played behind the front man. And the front man was Kai Corbett. And Kai Corbett is a really skillful player. I mean, if you've not seen him, go and have a look. He reminds me of Jack Grealish, actually. He really reminds me of Jack Grealish. But Kai Corbett was the number 9, and Afolayan was the number 10. So I'm not surprised he got picked at all. Which is why because I didn't know anything about him. When I was listening to the commentators before the game, and everyone else, they were saying, well, this was the guy. This guy was in because Ardebeko wasn't available. So I think I just naturally assumed he was a striker. So when was brought on as a substitute, and Yarmolenko still played as a striker, and this guy sort of hovered around in midfield. What's going on here? This is strange. Now, having gone back and seen the under-23 game, I understand why. But I just wonder if David Moyes must have gone and seen that game and seen him play and thought, do you know what, I'll have him. I mean, Kai Corbett was the natural replacement for Odebeka. But he's a very, very different player. Very two-footed, very good, very skillful. I'm very impressed. But Afolayan stole the show in this game. I also, funny enough, I saw Longelo. Longelo played at left-back in that one, and I thought he was very, very good. But anyway, I was delighted to see him come on. Baptiste played in that game as well. Trott didn't, so I think possibly Trott was the only one that knew he was going to feature in this, and that's because we had an injury to Randolph, or he was not selected, or he wasn't available, and David Martin wasn't. So I think this is probably more significant for Trott than it is for the other youngsters that featured. In terms of the game itself, and I think it's helped a lot of players. I think it's also cleared up a little couple of things for me, and this is really important. I don't want us to look at it and see Yarmolenko scoring a goal and scoring a very, very good goal. What? That was sublime technique, and for us to think we don't need this player, we don't need the striker, we don't need to bring him on in, was only the press conference before last that David Moyes alluded to the fact not only do we need a striker, we need a pacey striker. David Moyes refers to Mikel Antonio as Mickey. He said, whenever Mickey doesn't play, we have to change the system slightly. We know this, you know this, I know this. This is what always happens. Since we need someone pacey. If Mickey's not available, we need to be able to play in the same way. He was saying what we know, but also by stealth, he was sort of saying we couldn't play that way with Sebastian Haller in the team. And for that reason, it also means we can't play that way with Yarmolenko in the team. We enjoyed an amount of possession against Doncaster Rovers, which we just won't have against other teams. The fast-paced counter-attack, us soaking up the pressure, is how we play. We know that suffers. We know that that's hindered by having somebody that is not massively quick up front. That being said, I did notice something when we scored our goal. Ben Rama played the ball through. Really good ball. Nice ball through. Now, Yarmolenko is not rapidly quick. And something I used to discuss with Sebastian Haller wasn't just that he wasn't fast in terms of his top-end sprint speed. I didn't feel he was sharp. I didn't feel he was fast on his toes. He was quick into his running. Whilst Yarmolenko, I don't believe, is significantly quicker than Sebastian Haller. If you look at that goal again, look at how softly he was on his toes. He was up on his tips toes. He was into his sprint quite quickly. So whatever his top speed might be, he was into it quite a lot. And such is his control of the football. And the fact that he can look up, he chipped it over the goalkeeper. Wonderful technique. Really, really good goal. But he was sharp, and that's what I meant with Sebastian Haller. It was a sharpness. Now, don't get me wrong. Whilst I think he is sharp, there's a difference between being sharp and that's very different to what Mikel Antonio does, which is having high energy, strength, running, and bursts of pace over a long distance. In many respects, Antonio is not that player. Antonio gets up to a head of steam, and if he's shoulder to shoulder with another player, his strength will keep the other player behind. But we need somebody that can do that job. And looking at the young lad, Afolayan, he was... Well, I mean this in the Tottenham game more so than this one. He was pulling wide. He was doing a lot of running. I think somebody that might well appeal to David Moyes. How much he's going to feature, I don't know. I just thought it was quite interesting to watch it. Odebeko is perceived to be the talent, really. So it's all about timing. A bit unlucky for him. But we've seen this before. I mentioned it before. This happened with Ben Johnson. Timing wasn't on his side. He got injured. And then Ngakia got him. It's also happened before with who I still believe can come good and is one of my favourite players, which is Nathan Holland. What happened to Grady Diangana should have happened to Nathan Holland. He was due to, do you remember? It was in the cup. Might have been Macclesfield or something like that. Nathan Holland was due to play. Nathan Holland got injured. And Ngakia came in. Diangana came in. The rest is history. But that should have been Nathan Holland. I only bring this to your attention to say that timing is everything. For Ngakia, that timing was crucial. Just all the stars aligned for him. Johnson wasn't available. Johnson would have gone in there. Yaka got in. Yes, I know he left the club, but it wasn't thought that within West Ham as a whole that this guy is a potential first choice right back. It wasn't thought within the club that Grady D and Garner is the next winger to come through. It was thought that will be Nathan Holland's been very, very unlucky with injury. So it's up to the person that comes in to take that opportunity. And I wonder if we've got that there. I wonder if Afolayan comes in, and because Odebeko he's had the COVID test and whatnot, and he wasn't available. I do wonder if this is the chance, and it will be quite significant if actually we do bring in a striker. And that's it. And actually this little window of opportunity, these 2 or 3 games, is when that was it. This was the one point in the season where a young player could come in and make his mark. We go and sign a player, we go and sign a 25-year-old player or whatever, or an 84-year-old player like Josh King. They get in, then the youngster doesn't get a chance. I just find it very, very interesting. But it is clear that we do actually need a striker, and it does need to be done, because I do not want to run the risk at all. I do feel this is crucial. This is very, very important. And you talk about timing, and timing is it's funny, not just for the junior members of the team. I look at Ryan Fredericks' position now, and if I was a club looking for a right back, I might look at Ryan Fredericks and think, actually, there's a player there, and he cost us nothing. Remember, do I think we should sell him? No, I don't. I think the squad is paper thin as it is, but I only say it because his performances have actually been very good. It's only the fact that we've got Sue Fallon, and he's done tremendously well, which has meant Fredericks hasn't been involved. But actually, against Arsenal, Fredericks was excellent. Against Newcastle, he was the only West Ham player that was any good, and now he's been good now as well. You can't really count the Stockport game. I don't even remember if he played. I think he might have done. That was a boggy pitch, and that was no good for anyone. That being said, funny, I didn't think this pitch at London Stadium was brilliant. It wasn't boggy. Wasn't like that. Wasn't like the park when I went for a walk in the park. If you saw that nasty old dirty muddy old ditch I had to walk over, but it did cut up a little bit. So I think that was interesting. But anyway, back onto track. In terms of getting through, it's wonderful. I'm absolutely delighted. I can now look forward. We can all look forward to Crystal Palace. It's going to be a really interesting game. And just maybe it allows us to dream. Maybe you get one of those ones where the fixtures get thrown up and they throw up a funny one. Maybe Liverpool do beat Manchester United. I wonder if Manchester United are favourites. I don't know. I sort of have a feeling in my mind that they might be favourites for this one. But if we were to get Liverpool, it may well be that we face Liverpool very close proximity. We've got to pay them on the 31st of January. That's going to be really interesting. It's going to bring a certain dynamic to it. But I hope David Moyes has done his resting. I hope that sort of worked. I don't want to see the team that we saw, as well as they did. I don't want to see that back four and Yarmolenko as striker in the next round of the Cup against Man U or Liverpool. I don't. I think they've done well. I think they kept a clean sheet. But I do think it was a team put out against Doncaster Rovers who didn't play very well. They weren't particularly good. I do think we outworked them. I do think we did a job. But it was quite evident that when they brought their substitutes off the pitch, that they'd kept their best players on the bench. Which meant they were concentrating on the league, which is fine. You understand that. They win their next league game, they go top. I understand them for not prioritising the Cup. But I do think we've got to put this performance into context. The very, very worst thing we could do is think, hey, that's it. This is the team. This is our Cup team. We can go and win the Cup with this one. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to see Issa Diop and Balbuena as our centre-back partnership when they're coming up against Rashford or Salah or something like that. It may not be the case. It may not be that when we face either of these teams that we're playing against those players. For the reasons that I said at the start of the video. You might not be playing against Salah. You might be playing against Shaqiri. You don't know. You really don't know. You might be playing against... Might take Bruno Fernandes out. Might be Jesse Lingard in there. That's if he hasn't signed for us. So the point is, let's allow them to do that. Now the position changes. Now the shoe's on the other foot. So Man United or Liverpool, they may well rotate. They may well go into the Cup game against West Ham with a slightly weakened team. It's just vitally important, and we go and face them, we play our strongest one.